Dear Sale 7890. I've paid thousands of dollars for segs over the years. I told myself I'd never tell anyone this, but basically what's in the title. Long story short, I did a terrible job at asking a girl out in elementary school, and it gave me a crippling fear of rejection, so I never even approached girls I liked. As a teen, I learned how to masturbate from a friend. Like I literally went into his bathroom and beat it to thoughts of my high school crush while he waited in his room. That was the first time I ever orgasmed. A friend of mine hooked me up with one of her friends who liked me. Shouts out to her, LOL, that girl became my first everything. My first kiss, my first sexual experience, my first girlfriend. I thought I was gonna marry her. Then she cheated on me with her ex. It destroyed me, but I didn't break up with her because she cried. But I did start cheating on her. A lot. That's when I started paying for sex. I don't even remember how I learned about it exactly, but Google is a very intuitive site. So at around 16 or 17 I bought my first escort. I stole the money from my dad's drawer. TBH, it was awesome. She was beautiful and even let me hit raw and bust all over her chest and face. I felt like the man. I felt like a porn star. I was also broke and didn't get to see her ever again. Stealing from my dad made me feel like shit. After I got a job though, it was a wrap. I remember paying for whatever I saw in porn. Older women, college girls, etc. I had a few relationships with actual friends, but I had already developed this habit. I spent a shameful amount over the years, but no one ever knew. I just recently stopped because I managed to find a beautiful girlfriend who is literally changing my life. I'm sharing this because I want to stop lying to myself and face who I am and the decisions I've made. They say it's the only way forward, and trust me, I've tried everything else. I want to be a better man. So I'm laying it all bare to see exactly how much work I have to do. If I put it out there, I can't lie anymore. Thanks for reading. Try not to flame me too much in the comments. Semicino. I faked having epilepsy, but it turned out I actually did have epilepsy. Weird one. When I was a kid, probably about 13 or so, I was awful in school. I had bad grades because I mucked about so much. I was diagnosed with ADHD. Eventually the teachers pulled me and my parents in and basically in short just said I was a shit show at school and they wanted to know why. I didn't want to tell my parents that it was because I spent all my time messing about, so I made up some bullshit about having spells where just blacked out and couldn't remember anything. I think I'd actually just seen an episode of Casualty where someone was having absence seizures, so I probably just thought that would fit. Looking back, obviously, I know this was a very wrong thing to do, but in a way it probably saved my life. My parents took me to the doctor about these blackouts and I remember I was absolutely shitting it, because I knew my parents would be finding out I'd lied as soon as I got the tests. They definitely knew I was lying already, but it turned out on the EEG I actually did have bursts of seizure activity when I hyperventilated. The MRI also showed something on the brain that is harmless, but that is a common feature in epilepsy patients. So when all these tests came back I was absolutely in shock, but I remember I was actually buzzing that I did have epilepsy because my parents wouldn't find out I lied. I was having blackouts, I just didn't know I was having them, and when I couldn't remember stuff I just put it down to the ADHD. I got put on medication and got extra time in all my tests, so for 13-year-old me having an epilepsy diagnosis was a big win. Now at 20, I know that it really is not a big win. Epilepsy is horrible and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I'm lucky to only have focal seizures, but even they are difficult to deal with. But anyway. Lucky me. Electronic Rest 1175. I used an app hack to get free unlimited CC's pizza for years. I'm 22 now, and I've used the scam for since I was 15 to 16. I was playing around with the app and used the free drink, buffet, or large pizza for your birthday offer when I set my birthday. I set the time on my phone a year ahead, and I got the same offer again. Eventually, the app stopped letting me do it unlimited times per account, so I had to start creating more accounts. Then I hit a limit on how many accounts could be created on one device. I figured out that I could create unlimited accounts if I used the actual website. This hack worked until this year, when the CC's app reward program went away. I used this twice a month in high school, and would occasionally use it to get a stack of large pizzas for my friends and me. I used it a lot more in college, and my friends and I would sometimes study in the middle of CC's. I wouldn't be surprised if I spent the virtual equivalent of over $10,000. Thanks for getting me through college, CC's. I'm glad I'm much richer now and don't even think about eating that cheap pizza and cinnamon rolls anymore. Trying to be better 1964. I touched multiple girls inappropriately when I was in middle school and early high school. For quick context, I, now 32, had pretty difficult childhood. Large family, untreated ADHD, bullied and targeted by my own siblings my whole childhood, emotionally neglected, and ostracized. Knowing what I know now, I was clearly in severe need of mental health care and therapy, as I clearly had reactive attachment disorder on top of the untreated ADHD. My siblings locked me in the snow for hours, would attack me and harass me, and then I would deal with the same things at an extremely small school, 300 students pre-K-12. Even knowing what I know now, I still lay in bed some nights so angry and ashamed of myself. When I was 15, I had no control of my anger or emotions, and so people avoided me. Then, a group of guys started talking to me one day. They pointed out a girl in our class who was known for dating around. I don't know how they convinced me, but they convinced me to walk over and grab her butt. One of them did it first to show me it was okay, so I did. She laughed it off and told me not to do it again, but the guys laughed and told me she was just saying that. So I did it again later. I don't know if I was looking for their attention or I was just so over-sexualized and lonely, but it went on for so long, it happened so many times, and she so clearly wasn't okay with it. Then one day in weight class, the girl I had a crush on let one of the guys touch her breast for God knows what reason. So impulsively I reached up and did the same. But worst of all, there was a group of siblings my parent babysat. One of them was not much younger than me, but in teen years even a year is considered a long time. One day we were swimming and I was tossing them around the pool and wrestling, and I realized I was getting excited. I took advantage of the wrestling. It was never under clothes, and it never went past touching, but to me that doesn't make it any less awful that I would do that. I just lay here some nights and these intrusive thoughts pop up like, remember that time you just did these things to these girls, and I get so angry. I pray that she never realized I did that and that I didn't scar her because I was such an awful person. But even still, anytime I feel like I'm doing good, and I've overcome my past, these memories haunt me and tear me back down. Edit for clarification's sake and accountability. So for starters, I think the main feedback I am seeing are the comments about my ADHD, other disorders, and the story of the guys. My intent was not to try and use those as fluff or a crutch. I over-communicate and have had posts on other subreddits taken down for being too long. So I didn't want that to happen, and I obviously didn't explain my own perceptions to things properly. My mental health issues are not my fault, but they are my responsibility. The choices I made to assault these girls was still a choice I made to chase my own lustful desires and satisfaction with no consideration of them. The other guys encouraged me the first time it happened, and with one girl. They did not play any part in it from then on except as witnesses, and played no part in the other two girls I victimized. I think my state of mind was looking to it as a roadmap. Two things can be true at once. First, that my life was difficult and thus there were many of Maslow's hierarchy of needs that I did not receive. Second, that it does not excuse my behavior or justify it in any way. But in my studies of psychology, I've come across a common thread of seeking the purpose behind the behavior. So I guess my quick typing without context came off as justifying, but that was not my intent nor my feelings on the matter. Second, I want to apologize for not having the foresight to place a trigger warning for anyone else who has been victimized in the past or affected by actions such as this. It does not bring me any comfort to see other posts about how common this is. My hope for this post was not to hear other horror stories about this being a normal male behavior. I have been in therapy a few different times, however the times I have gone into therapy has felt directionless. Even still, therapists are trained to be unjudgmental, to remain impartial and unmoved. I posted this to get real, true responses. So thank you. To those who have offered words of support and understanding. Thank you for showing me that there are people out there who will understand that I strive every day to get as far away from the person I was as I can. That I am not that person anymore and never will be again. This was what I needed, to know that others could see past who I was and understand that I despise who I was. That I could still be seen as a person by real people and not just a therapist in a chair being paid to convince me I am a person. To those who were critical and correcting. Thank you. I learned a while back the value of criticism. Having real people provide insight into these things helps to identify blind spots and mistakes. To those who were raw. I appreciate your feedback. I understand there's nothing I can ever do to make it right. I can't take away the things that I did regardless of age or circumstances. I am not seeking any forgiveness or get out of jail free card. I am not trying to manipulate people to coddle me or tell me what I did wasn't a big deal or normal. I recognized my failures. My desire to be a better person is not dependent on anyone's forgiveness of any mistakes I've made past, present, or future. I want to be better because I recognized how horrible and disgusting the things I did was and how much hurt and trauma I could have, and as others pointed out, likely did cause. If someone is truly remorseful, they will change with or without forgiveness or acceptance, because it's what's right. I can promise you that I will never be that person again, and I will continue doing everything I can to advocate against these behaviors. Thanks for tuning in.